Well, it's two things. It is overspending and overstimulating the economy from a fiscal policy point of view. When you run $1.6 trillion deficits on top of having spent $6 trillion during COVID, you're going to have a lot of dollars in the system chasing the same number of goods. Secondarily, you have the administration's war on energy, driving up energy costs. And that's not just gas at the pump, that's diesel in the truck to move goods from one factory to another, for plastics, for materials, for food. That's going to drive up costs. And then you have the regulatory state unleashed on other parts of business, and that's going to drive up costs for businesses, which ultimately get passed on to the economy. So this is the perfect storm of infelicitous business steps by the administration with predictable results.
So, EJ, $890 for the average family. That's a lot of money. Let's say they make $65,000 a year. That's a big chunk of change. What do you make of this price increase for school supplies?
Well, I think this is just part of the larger picture surrounding Bidenomics, which is that the American family today is demonstrably poorer than they were when he took office. And I think that's one of the reasons why this administration's talking points on the economy are really falling flat on so many Americans, because they are essentially being told by the White House, don't believe your lying eyes and don't believe your empty wallets. Instead, believe us when we tell you you are better off. But the facts say otherwise. When you include not just back to school spending, but everything that the typical family has to buy during the course of a year, you see that the average American family is about $6,800 poorer today than in January of 2021 when Biden was inaugurated.
John, what do you make of the cost right now? Everything seems to be going up, and especially with kids going back to school, this is big.
Well, I'm glad that Speaker McCarthy is reminding America that it's costing them more dollars. Why? Because Biden's policies don't make sense. The thing is that when you look at mortgage rates and everything that my fellow panelists point out, everything is more expensive. But when you specifically look at the housing market, interest rates are extremely high, 23-year high. Why? Because of the printing of the money and everything else that has already been mentioned. So that means that the American dream, buying that first home or trading up, is more expensive, not only in terms of dollars, but also interest rates. So that's why a lot of people are holding on to their homes. Why? Because if they want to trade up, they're selling their home, possibly taking a tax hit and trying to roll it over and take out additional mortgage is going to cost them more money at a time in which working class Americans are trying to figure out ways to reduce spending.
That's a good point. In fact, you segued right into this. Mortgage rates they've reached the highest level in 23 years, meaning that the average home buyer has lost about $71,000 worth of purchasing power in just the last year alone. I'm going to go back to John Jordan here. Do you see this getting better anytime soon? Do you see this getting worse? Where does the real estate market go from here?
This is a great question. So we have the Fed right now raising rates to combat inflation caused by the administration. So there's that. But what we have also is these huge deficits going forward. And then with no end in sight, eventually the Treasury market's going to demand a premium because of America's balance sheet, our debt load. And the interest rates are going to go up even more.